The true story of the Winchester Mystery House, the creepiest mansion in the U.S., the real origins of the Winchester Mystery House. Following the deaths of multiple family members, including her infant daughter in 1865, her father in 1869, her mother in 1880, both her father-in-law and husband in 1881, and her sister in 1884. Sarah left her hometown of New Haven, Connecticut, to make a fresh start just outside San Jose, California. Within just a few months, she'd already added more than a dozen rooms onto her new home with the intention of accommodating her two little sisters and their families. For the next 38 years, reports claim, the property would be constantly under construction, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Sarah designed all of the additions on her own despite having no formal training. Construction ended only upon her death in the mansion in September 1922, leaving it incomplete and her plans unfinished. The Winchester Mystery House today. What stands today is four-story, 160-room, 24,000 square foot mansion constructed mostly out of redwood on less than 5 remaining acres of land in one of the city's most heavily trafficked West Valley neighborhoods. The home has 2,000 doors, some leading straight into blank walls, 10,000 windows, some interior facing, 47 fireplaces, 17 chimneys, 40 stairways, at least one of which leads up to a ceiling, 40 bedrooms, 2 ballrooms, 1 completed, 1 unfinished, 13 bathrooms, 6 kitchens, 3 elevators, 2 basements, and a wood-paneled, Venetian-inspired dining room. Whew. There are gold and silver chandeliers, hand-inlaid parquet floors, and many original stained glass windows rumored to have been created by Tiffany. At one point prior to the 1906 earthquake, the house stood 7 stories tall, but it was reduced, likely due to damage caused by the quake. In fact, after the quake, Sarah all but stopped work on the front wing of the house. Luckily, the home was spared total destruction during both the 1906 and 1989 Loma Prieta earthquakes because it was built using a floating foundation, a design that allows the structure to move freely as it's only semi-attached to its base. Few people aside from household staff and teams of carpenters and other workmen were invited into the mansion during Sarah's lifetime, and very few, if any, interior photographs were taken. The furniture inside the home today reflects the period, but her personal belongings, including the contents of the house, were left to her niece, Marion, who kept what she wanted and sold the remainder at auction. Is the Winchester Mystery House haunted? It's a question people have asked ever since Sarah started construction. In order to make sense of this perceived monstrosity in what was then a rural community, rumors began to swirl about her motivations. According to folklore, Sarah was motivated to build a home with such odd features because a medium told her that the ghosts of those killed by the Winchester rifle would haunt her until the day she died, unless she went out west to build a house with room for all of them. Other versions of the story purport that Sarah was driven west because she was being haunted in the family mansion in New Haven. Unfortunately for her, the ghosts followed her to California, so she tried to outsmart them by building a rambling home with a tangle of hallways. Historians have never been able to corroborate the visit with the medium, and many of Sarah's longtime employees and friends denied the story both during and after her lifetime. And of course, the truth is likely a bit simpler. Sarah's father had been a carpenter during the height of the Victorian period, and so she grew up loving design and architecture. She later subscribed to many magazines and journals on the subjects and taught herself the craft. The rumors only grew after her death, when the property sold at auction to a private investor for around $135,000. Today, just north of $2 million. It was then leased to John and Mamie Brown for a 10-year period. The couple opened the house up to the public in 1923 and eventually bought the property, which is now owned by a privately held company that represents their descendants. The home was designated a historic landmark in 1974, and it's listed in the National Registry of Historic Places.